General Keane, we've been following this for a long time, and it's come to a conclusion that we feared but became probably realistic over the last couple of months or so. So where do we go from here? Syria wins, Russia wins. Where do we go? Where does the world go from here?
Well, first of all, it would be wonderful if we just understood what happened so we can learn from it.
You want to go back to the red line or before then?
Well, what the president squandered many opportunities to do something about Syria. His advisors were recommending in 2012 that he help the Syrian moderates. This is Clinton, Panetta, Dempsey, and Petraeus. He said no. Those same advisors, with the exception of Clinton, he had Secretary Kerry the following year. When Assad violated the chemical red line, they recommended military action, particularly focused on air power, which was doing the killing. And the president rejected that again. And what I believe happens to the president, he fears the consequences of the adverse action as a result of military action. What could happen as a result of that? But he fails to understand that no action also has consequences. And the consequences of no action permitted Assad's air power, now assisted by Russians, to absolutely conduct a genocide campaign against the people in Aleppo. And it was all of that.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the president won the Nobel Peace Prize weeks into his presidency, and he initially was running against the war, and then the bad economy fell into his lap. So was he held hostage also to ideology and fear of public opinion rather than checking evil, because we know what Assad's father did? So the family had a history of annihilating their own people if they saw any political threat.
22 times at least, President Obama made a declaration against the Assad regime to do something about it, and he never acted. I'm convinced foreign policy, appropriately so, is not about his advisors. It's not about who was Secretary of State. It is President Obama's foreign policy we are seeing. He has taken a completely different role than any president since World War II, Democrat or Republican. He's pulled back and disengaged. He thinks the role of American leadership in the world is different. He doesn't see it as a responsibility to help the global stability and security that American leadership can provide. It's not necessarily military action, but the use of it has to be credible. People have to believe that you would take that kind of action.
Right. Or otherwise, it doesn't matter how large our army is if no one thinks we'll ever deploy it.
Then it's just rhetoric. And Putin understands that, and that's why he takes advantage of the president so much.
Now, apparently what's happening is that the rebels now are being put in such dire straits that they'll probably have to join organizations that would deem them international, thugs, ISIS or something like that, making them sitting ducks where we would have no legal objection or no moral objection to the continued annihilation of them.
What is happening is, after the red line in 2013, the Islamists, who are not radical, but who would want an Islamic state, they were aligned with the Syrian moderates who want a democratic state. In theory, that is the group that we've always been backing, the Syrian moderates. When we did not execute the red line, the Syrian moderates felt tremendously let down. The Islamists moved away from them towards the al-Qaeda group, which is called Jabhat al-Nusra. That group, under a new name now, has risen to prominence, and they are going to remain there. The problem with that is they are going to grow as a threat, not only in Syria, but also to the United States. So we have a major problem on our hands, to be sure.
I've got a minute left. I'm going to ask about another major problem. China's belligerents, these islands, particularly ones in the Spratly chain, now being militarized. They say it's only defensive weapons, but it is obviously military, and a military establishment is being set up there, foundation.
China is projecting military power off its shore for the first time in over 100+ years for one reason only. They want to dominate and control the Pacific and also Asia itself. It is no longer a closed secret like it had been for years. Where's China going? We know where they're going. This is power projection to influence those allies and the global commons so they can influence and control of it at the expense of the United States and the expense of our allies.
And the common thread for both of these is that none of these bad actors had any fear for our president, unfortunately.
They want to change the international order, and that's what they're about doing.
General Keane, thank you very much.